I've been needing to find a new apartment, which has not been easy with credit as bad as mine. Luckily, I found cosigning.com. They connected me with a cosigner who helped me get my dream apartment for me and my dog. I just paid a small fee and was able to move in fast. Get the cosigner you need for the apartment you want. Check out cosigning.com today.
You know, I keep saying it before. Diddy's already beat this case because there was never a case to begin with. None of these things are really up in the air. When the Russians first went into the Ukraine because they were forced to, I said that the war was over before it started. I was right about that. The war is going to end the way they want it to end. But when it comes to the Diddy trial, this was nothing more than to kind of prove to Diddy and use him as an example for others that if you ever try to cross us, there will be consequences. Now, the problem is this, though. We have an FBI that's out of control. The same FBI that is literally going after him with a Rico statute when there is no Rico. How are you involved in a criminal enterprise, but you're the only person in the enterprise? You cannot be alone. It's like saying that I'm going to play in a 2 versus 2 basketball game, but I'm just one player. Like you can't do both. There is no Rico charge here. There is no enterprise. So who is he working with to facilitate trafficking Cassie? What proceeds were being generated from trafficking Cassie? The people are trying to turn this into everything except what the man is being charged with. Now, don't get me wrong. I'm no better than anyone else. I came into this saying that he is a gay pedophile. That's what I was told. I'm now listening to testimony from people that have been around him for 10 plus years. No one's once described him as being into kids, and everything that they've testified was that he wasn't gay. Matter of fact, his penis wouldn't even work when other men was in the room. He had to literally go into another room and close the door and probably turn off the lights just to even have sex. The men that were there were for Cassie's pleasure. The only time he ever got pleasure is when he was one-on-one with these women. Apparently, he's not really a playboy the way he wants you to think he is. He's kind of a serial monogamous because I'm going to tell you this. Nobody, no men with this much money and this much celebrity just chooses to keep having sex with the same woman, the same vagina for 10 plus years. It sounds like this man's already in prison. Who does that? Yeah, he has another girlfriend here or there, but 10 years. Do you know how long 10 years is? He's only in his 50s. That's 20% of his life that he's been literally sleeping with the same one woman. You're a superstar celebrity. You can have the most beautiful women, any background, any nationality. You can afford to buy them anything. The man spent millions on Cassie, took her on. People are reporting these shopping sprees he's a taker on in France. $500,000 he's spending on clothing. A record deal, even though she's not putting out much music. She has her own money. People are, when they're talking during the trial, they're pretending like, well, he was kind of breadcrumbing Cassie. Maybe give her a little money to pay her T-Mobile bill here. No, that's not the case. They have plenty of money between each other. She could just choose not to go to these events. But how can you not go to an event that you're hosting and that you put together yourself? Two people that are in love with each other, who are also drug addicts, it looks bad and it sounds horrible, but it doesn't meet the criteria to be considered a sex trafficking ring or a RICO statute. You know, John Gotti is what this was originally created for. There used to be, we used to have an issue with the mob in the country, and men in New Jersey would be calling shots for their underlings in Las Vegas to do things on their behalf, but you couldn't really charge them because they were never physically there. You never caught them with a gun. They never touched any drugs. So what they did was they created this thing called the RICO, racketeering and conspiracy. And all you need when you're in a RICO charge, there is no burden of proof required. Meaning, all you need is 2 or more people to just say that you did something. They don't need proof. So that's why it's a convenient tool to use against people that are your political enemies, because you don't actually have to be guilty of it to be charged with it. Typically, under normal charges, you would have to, there is a burden of proof, evidence is required, there's an investigation, and then you're charged. The reason they don't charge these people nowadays, they charge everybody with RICO, is because there is no evidence against them. They're charging them for other reasons, either politically motivated or financially motivated. It's not necessarily in the name of justice. And a lot of these RICO charges, a lot of these RICO cases, they fold under an appeal and the person ends up getting out, or it doesn't make it to a conviction because this is the United States. It's very difficult to convict someone without providing proof, but yet you're charging them without proof. You're not supposed to start your investigation after you arrest a person. You're supposed to have already completed your investigation, and your investigation tells you need to arrest this person. They went about this completely wrong and backwards. I've been watching Pure Evil. I've been in these groups, and it's just people saying, give them life, lock them in jail. And I would ask in these groups, and I would say, well, for what? Why do you want him in jail? What did he do exactly? They name everything under the sun, but there's no proof of anything they're saying. They're just talking. They just want to see this man lose everything. And I can't believe that I was even on that bandwagon at all. I thought it was funny. This man's fighting for his life. And the more and more we hear his testimony, the more and more you realize he's just a regular guy. He's insecure. He's jealous. He's confused. And he's just trying to make the best out of this. What do they call those people? A miserable millionaire? All that money doesn't equal happiness. And this is when people usually off themselves, because you think that the reason you're unhappy your whole life is because you don't have money. And once you finally get to that point where you can say you have money and you're still emotionally broken and you're still not happy, then you realize that there is no cure and you're probably just sick and you just want to end the pain. I mean, right now they're trying to, every day I have a different friend calls me with their bullshit. My other good friend calls me yesterday. He's a father of a daughter, and he's trying to tell me about Diddy being guilty. And I'm like, well, explain that. And he's like, and instead of him explaining to me what Diddy did that was so wrong, he tells me, well, if you had a daughter, what would you? I'm like, well, what the fuck does that matter? If I had a daughter, maybe she wouldn't be there selling pussy. If I had a daughter, but think about it. Who doesn't want their daughter to end up with a extremely successful man that is strong, that can provide? That's who you want your daughter with anyway. But guess what? You would have to teach your daughter to be a fucking woman, to be traditional, to be the kind of woman that a man of any stature who's worth his weight in salt would want to keep around. Not one that's going to give him a hard time and a headache. And apparently Cassie, she was raised to keep a man. What she wasn't raised how to do was be loyal and not cheat. I don't know if anybody's listening to this has ever been cheated on, but do you remember how you felt? Do you remember what you went through? Do you remember the things you said to the person that was cheating on you? Were you living together? Did this person know your family and your friends? Were you embarrassed? Did you feel betrayed? Did you act out? Did a little bit inside you want to get physical? Or is everybody just so high and mighty and everybody's just so perfect that they've never lost their temper? You never been cheated on by somebody who you have kids with? So you don't know what he's going, so you don't know, you don't have any idea what it's like when you feel your whole world is crumbling and the person you've invested all your heart to just fucking stomps on it. So no one can even put themselves in his position and wonder why he would get frustrated and feel like he needs to get high and drunk all the time and why he's so jealous. Here he is to try to keep this. He loves this woman so much. He's willing to pay men who are strippers to fulfill her fantasies of group sex. He's willing to pay those men just to keep her happy. But then there came a time where she got old. There's no need to keep her happy anymore. Matter of fact, her leaving you goes from being your worst nightmare to being your dream come true. You know, footing the bill for a 40-year-old woman doesn't make as much sense as it did when she was 22. Young, vibrant, you know, beautiful, fun. She's still beautiful, but she's older, more baggage, more mileage. You've already done everything with her. You can't really take her anywhere she hasn't been. What can Alex Fine do for Cassie that Diddy didn't do? Nothing, which is why she was even cheating on Alex Fine with Diddy. And she will continue to cheat on Alex Fine until he finally leaves her later this year. You know, let's get to the case. There were 5 other charges, but these were in the civil case that were dismissed against Diddy. I'm going to let the videos explain to you what's going on. I see the criminal case going the same way because, well, the same reasons they're dropping these charges for this civil RICO case, the same reasons apply to the criminal. There's nothing in the civil that's not in the criminal. If the civil fell apart, the criminal's fucked. Typically, you can get exonerated for murder, and they can still find you guilty in a criminal court of wrongful death. But wait a minute, I was just cleared of the death in civil court. But in criminal court, but in the civil court, you can still be convicted. If the civil falls apart first, you have no criminal. And what they're doing now is just kind of, wasting time, waiting in the water. I guess letting everybody come up there. People keep telling me, no, Rico, just wait another 2 weeks. There's going to be kids. There's going to be, he had sex with babies. There's going to be the handicapped girl in the wheelchair. He pushed her out the wheelchair and took it. And I'm like, man, this guy is putting in a lot of work for a man who everybody's testifying that he has erectile dysfunction. He's doing a lot of fucking for a person who penis won't work. And there's no actual, you mean to tell me all these people he victimized, now one of them had the bright idea or wherewithal to just, I don't know, go to the hospital and get a grape kit so there can be a record of his semen drooling out of you against your, you can say it was against your will. It's a billionaire that you can accuse. Everybody needs money. You can get how much money if you make those allegations? Even if it's a lie and it was consensual, if you got the kit, you can pretend that, hey, he said it was consensual, I said it wasn't, and get some money out of him. So you mean to tell me nobody has a kit? After listening to these testimonies for the last 2 weeks, I can kind of see why. They're talking about dozens of freak-offs, and the only person not getting freaky is Diddy. Masturbating a flaccid penis is not you being involved in a freak-off. That's you trying to force yourself to have a good time somewhere you don't want to be. Kind of like when you go to your girlfriend's parents' house and the cooking's bad, but you smile and you pretend to eat the beans and toast, but you don't like it. I'm pretty sure, like I said, I've been in situations where you're turned off, but you're there because somebody you love wants you to be there. Like when I had to watch The Notebook that time. Oh. Let's go ahead and listen to the rest of this.
Diddy gets a major legal victory. A New York judge dismissed 5 racketeering charges against Combs in the $30 million lawsuit filed by producer Lil Rod.
Rodney Jones's lawsuit just took a major hit in the RICO conspiracy charge being dismissed.
Brian Buckmeyer is ABC News' legal contributor and host of the 2020 podcast Bad Rap, The Case Against Diddy.
2 very different versions of Diddy have emerged over the years.
And he's with me, breaking down the judge's ruling.
Rodney Jones's lawsuit taking a hit had a lot to do with the attorney and the way that he filed the lawsuit and articulated the charges. He couldn't connect the criminal enterprise that he was alleging Sean Combs had with the actual damages or harm that occurred to him.
Rodney's sexual assault.
And they are having the exact same charge. They're having the exact same problem here with Cassie. For one thing, Cassie is not some random girl that he picked up. This was a woman he had been in a relationship with for over 10 years. Do you know how long 10 years is? 10 years. Not some random, not somebody he kidnapped, a willing participant who he tried to make happy. I'm gonna tell you this: no matter how this Diddy case goes, relationships in this country are going to change. Men are now going to look at every woman as potentially someone who's going to find a way to sue him one day, possibly in the near future. Even myself, I was at a bar last night, and this chick came in. She was definitely with about 4 fridges. She was definitely the snack. So I definitely wasn't going to walk over to her in front of, these wildebeests. But a friend of mine was standing there. He saw me looking at her. She was, she had a nice shape and everything. And he was like, man, you want to be your wingman? I was like, wingman for what? He's like, I'm going to go over there. I was like, go ahead, but, you don't got me. Rico can talk on his own. I can stand on my, if I want her, I'll get her. So anyway, he goes where he talks to her, and then he brings me up. And she looks over at me. He looks at me. He walks over like, hey, she wants you to come talk to her. I'm looking at her. Tight pink dress on. Nice heels. You could tell she had some work done in the rear. Arms were kind of big, but not too big, not Big Mike big, but, like she doesn't really train. Basically, she had you could tell she had the surgery, probably a mommy makeover. But she had like this, it's like this pullover wig that you can see like the little strip in the front where like it attaches to the skin. And I'm really not a fan of all that fake hair and shit. And I'm looking at her and I'm just like, I wonder how many months before she claims that I emotionally abused her when I stopped talking to her, or when I told her I wouldn't buy her a Chanel bag. And how many months before she's going to say that she was in an abusive relationship with me, maybe hopefully consider suing me if she thought she had enough proof. I wonder how long that would take. That literally covered my thought process. And she walked over to me. She was like, are you shy or something? And I was like, no, I just don't want it. I don't want it. Things are going to change. You can't spoil your girlfriend anymore. You can't treat her like a goddess. You can't argue with her. You can't fight with her because they can consider you an abusive man who has now sex trafficked her. Because technically, if you flew her out of town on vacation to another city or another state, another country, and you guys had sex, then they can consider you a sex trafficker now. At least enough to charge you. And then you're going to have to sit in jail and fight the case, and you'll probably win. But what if you can't afford a good defense team? And nobody knows about it, and you just get swept under the rug like so many. Things are going to change in this country, and not for the better. This doesn't help marriage rates, and it doesn't help the birth rate.
And liability claims still stand, and so does the federal case that has put Diddy behind bars, held without bail for 191 days and counting in this notorious facility. What can you tell us about some of the conditions that he's facing right now?
Yeah, so the Metropolitan Detention Center, it's described by some as kind of like hell on earth, decrepit, dirty, corrupt, things that you would never probably wish upon your worst enemy.
Brian's podcast, Bad Rap, is out now, where he gives an overview of the rap mogul's meteoric rise.
Wanna be ballers, shot callers,
and steep fall.
We're hearing about how people's whispers are turning into shouts, how looking back on previous interviews being like, well, he's talking to Conan O'Brien about locking doors.
If you don't have what they need, they're gonna leave.
Right.
Gotta keep them there. Right. You need locks on the doors.
Oh, it seems like, whoa, that seems a little nefarious now.
The podcast will also go over
The dude makes a joke on Conan O'Brien's show about 20 years ago. That had to be from that's got to be 2008, 2009. And they're bringing that up in 2025. This is what I mean by pure evil, sick people that will literally try to nitpick ways to find technicalities in the law to destroy your life. Not that it's based on truth, accuracy, but they're just trying to say, well, can we just look at it like this and try to move this? It's not even, they don't want it to be organic. They want to kind of they're forcing it, and they're showing their hand. They want to destroy certain men. It's weird.
the case with legal experts leading up to and continuing through his May trial. Do we anticipate that he will take the stand?
I don't think that Sean Combs will testify, but he has a far bigger ego than any person I've ever represented. So could I see Sean Combs saying, you know what, I've taken the advice of counsel, I'm going to testify? Absolutely.
What about his sons?
If his sons testify, I very much doubt it's going to be at the front end of the trial. If Sean Combs is convicted, I can see his family testifying in a way, try to mitigate circumstances to lessen his jail time. Diddy, what's going on, Diddy?
Is there a chance that Diddy walks free after all of this is done?
If I'm a betting man, I don't see him walking. But just because I think it's going to go one way doesn't mean that it can't go the other.
You know, now that, you know, I wouldn't trust that guy and I wouldn't put too much stake in what he has to say. You know, he seems like he's gay, and maybe the gays don't like Diddy anymore because now with all these sex people testifying, none of them are saying, yeah, Diddy poured hot, spicy baby oil all on my cheeks and wore this ass out. Not one story of Diddy doing anything gay. Actually, the quite opposite. It seemed like he's disgusted by these men. Where his dick doesn't work, he leaves him in a room with Cassie, he goes in the other room. Of course, at first, when he was dry humping, according to the Punisher, he's there giving instruction. But once it's time for the actually freaky sex part, he's so disgusted, he goes in the other room and just lets her have her fun. He even says it to her, go ahead, have your fun. That's how far out of this man's way he went to make this woman happy. And I'm going to keep, you know, pounding on that point. Pause, no Diddy. But I'm just going to keep, you know, going over that and making that point that you can tell he's trying to make her happy, but there's no making these women happy. All the money he spent on her, all these years that he loved her, you know, people fight in relationships, but 10 years, and she's now suing him to the point where now he's having criminal charges and he has to waste all this time and money in jail. There's no trafficking. There's no enterprise. There's no conviction coming. This is all just a waste of time so that you can expose and embarrass this man. But I'll be honest with you, he's a man. You really can't expose. You can't embarrass a man when it comes to sex stuff, especially healthy sex stuff. If there was some gay stuff or some pedophile stuff in here, that's horrible. But there's not. Having sex with your girlfriend or even being a cuck, that's so normal nowadays. Erectile dysfunction is a big issue with men. So to get over it, a lot of men bring other men in to have sex with their wives. She has to still have sex. She don't want to leave you for the new man to have sex, but she just wants to have sex. But you still love her. You guys have a family. Is it worth breaking up the family because your wife's horny? I don't think so. I don't think so. You know, sometimes you got to just turn the other cheek. It's not like she's about to leave you for this other man. She's probably banging them and coming back home the same way men do when they go see their little mistresses or their side chicks. See, I'm legit equal opportunity. I'm not like these other people that pretend to be on this high horse and say, you know, I actually believe in equality, unlike these other people.
Combs, a federal judge dismissing a sexual assault lawsuit against the hip hop mogul, citing the plaintiff's failure to file a complaint under her real name. Combs has denied all wrongdoing.
And joining us now is ABC Chief Investigative Correspondent Aaron Katersky and ABC News contributor and attorney Brian Buckmeyer. Gentlemen, good to see you both. Yeah. So, Aaron, we'll start with you. Tell us exactly how this case got dismissed.
Well, it's as simple as that. The judge said that the presumption is when you file a civil lawsuit against somebody, the defendant has a right to know who his accuser is. So at some point, she was not going to be allowed to proceed anonymously. The only thing we knew about her in this case is a New York woman who says she was sexually assaulted and violently hit by Sean Combs sometime around 1995 at a party for a
1995. How can anybody even claim to have a clear recollection? They didn't go to the police. There's no video. There's no picture. There's no proof you even ever met this man. 1995, 35 years ago, 35. And this, and think about it. Some jerk dickhead lawyer actually took the case and filed it. These people have no self-respect. They have no dignity. They don't respect the rule of law. They respect the rule of money. And their rule is get it by any means necessary. Even if that means fraud and lying on someone and stealing from them. 35 years ago, 30-something years ago, you're saying something happened, but you didn't report it for 30, but you remember now. Now you can remember the date, time, everything that happened. How? 35 years ago, when there's no computer, there's no cameras, there's nothing around for you to prove anything you're saying. You're just taking a Hail Mary and hoping that he'll want to settle with you out of court so it doesn't just pile on to this wave of other accusations. All unsubstantiated by the testimony thus far in this case. Unbelievable.
Biggie Smalls video, and the judge told her at some point you're going to have to say who you are. She refused to do it by the deadline the judge set, and so the judge dismissed the case.
Okay, so Brian, we see Jane Doe cases from time to time. That's not completely unusual. What was the issue here?
So yeah, we see Jane Does, or on the alternative, we see John Does as well. And you're allowed to start a case as anonymous as it does, as Aaron pointed out. But at some point in time, the defense has the right to know who is making these allegations. And you have to balance the rights of the defendant, who does have rights, as well as the rights of the person making the claim. And so in looking as to whether or not someone should continue as a Jane Doe or John Doe, they look to see whether or not the person's name is already in the public, whether or not they'll face any kind of psychological or physical harm or any kind of damage if their name is out there. And at some point in time, you can stay as a Jane Doe, but because those factors weren't properly articulated, I think in this case, the plaintiff couldn't continue with that anonymous title. And they do understand that harassment, sexual assault, rape has embedded within it the ability to have kind of reputational harm, but that's not enough. They have to go beyond just the allegations and try to prove what harm is there.
And Brian Diddy.
And even a broken clock is right twice a day. He did say something finally correct. What he said was there will be a problem when they are requesting proof. There is none. There is no proof for anything. Now, if say he had got into a fight with Cassie in 2022 or 2021 or 2020, and he was just wailing on her, beating her ass, then you can say he's a domestic violence abuser. But you can't bring up a 10-year-old domestic violence video or a 15-year-old domestic violence claim. Those are all outside the statute of limitations. She's been married since 2019. She was still cheating on Diddy when she got with her new guy. How many years ago was that? So there, and this is what took so long. It took years for Alex Fine to turn Cassie against Diddy. She loved the man. He took care of her and her family for many, 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 many years, more years than I would have done it. And she did not see, she knew none of these things weren't true. But once a man is getting in your head and he's talking to you, he's making you tell him your deepest and darkest secrets. He's telling you he's going to marry you and give you a family under one condition, that you're honest with him and you tell him the truth. And what Alex did was he carefully put together this lawsuit, and he asked for $30 million. And they requested 10. You think Cassie's lawyer was the one who put together this lawsuit against the Intercontinental for $10 million? No, that was also Alex Fine as well. Because Alex is going to take half plus alimony and child support. Now, when Kevin Federline did this against Britney Spears and Halle Berry's husband, it looks like they capped men out in the state of California for 2 or more kids, 2 to 4 kids divorced. If the woman's worth more than $5 million, they're capping you at around $30,000 to $35,000 a month. That's alimony plus child support. I can see Alex Fine walking away with $10 million plus $30,000 to $35,000 a month in child support and alimony. Now, he's a personal trainer looking to make, he's typically making about $3,000 to $4,000 a month. 3 kids is probably going to cost him $6,000 a month. He's going to net about a $24,000 profit per month. He won't even have to touch that $10 million. You know, he had one good shot to become a millionaire, and he took it. And he hit. His last thing that he had to do was convince Cassie to go on to testify, even though there was no need to. You already got your money. He's in jail. The only reason why a testimony was needed is so that Alex Fine doesn't have to explain to the divorce judge why he needs full custody. He just has to play her testimony in the Diddy trial. And that's what made this so beautiful. It's like something I would have put together myself. That's how carefully crafted this was. Alex Fine did a good job.
Team released the following statement here. For months, we have seen case after case filed by individuals hiding behind anonymity, pushed forward by attorneys, more focused on media headlines than legal merit. The other claims, like the one dismissed today, also will not hold up in a court of law. So what does this mean for the other lawsuits that Diddy is facing right now?
So I think Diddy's attorneys are taking a bit of a victory lap because, yes, a case was dismissed. And there are a number, I think Aaron had pointed out behind the scenes, that there are about 20 lawsuits with the Jane Doe anonymous title to it. This isn't a dismissal based on the facts of the case. This is a dismissal because the judge put a deadline there and said, if you do not release your name in one way, shape, or form, then the case will be dismissed. But we don't know how the other Jane Does are going to react. They may be of the mindset of, I want to release my name, or I will release my name. And if that happens, then the case will be decided based on its merit and its fact, not.
Again, he's finally correct. If these cases are going to be based on merit and fact, then these Jane Does clearly will not want to give their names because these are what they call false allegations. And if Diddy's smart, he will go after these people and sue once he's exonerated. If Tory Lanez is able to get released from prison early because of this whole Megan Thee Stallion BS, lying on him and suppression of evidence and all the things that the state did that failed him, then his lawsuit is going to be worth $1 billion. He's an artist now that had 2 collapsed lungs due to his injuries. Might not be able to perform again. He might not sound the same. Might not be able to breathe the same. We don't know yet. The lawsuit, Diddy's going to go after these Jane Does for these false allegations because, see, it's not going to be that they got to prove. They're not going to be able to prove Diddy did anything to them. The burden of the proof is going to be, can you even prove that you met Diddy at any time in your life? I'm guaranteeing if it's 10 people, 9 of them have never met him physically in real life. It's the same thing that happened with Bill Cosby. They threw out the majority of those lawsuits. Those women had never met him. But, you know, when there's blood in the water and there's no consequences, why not? You kind of look at these black celebrity men as class action lawsuits. It's not like you're going to get in trouble if you try to get it. But if you sign some papers saying, yeah, you know, I think my neighbor, you know, poured Roundup on my driveway, you know, and then maybe you might get a little check. And that's kind of what they did with Diddy here. But now that this person starts thinking that if he doesn't get convicted and he gets out of jail, he might want to come after me and sue me. And this is going to embarrass me. This is going to put my name out there. Think about it. If you're a woman and you come out and your name is put out there in the media that you were dealing with Diddy and you want to come after him for something, the first thing everyone's going to think of when they see you in person or read, no matter what you said happened during your relationship, all we're going to think is she likes to gargle urine. She's a gargler. Piss to the teeth. The yellow stuff. They call her Lil Baby Asparagus. That's her nickname in the hood, Lil Mama Asparagus. Any woman that I meet that tells me she's a date Diddy, immediately I'm thinking she likes piss in the mouth. You can't rinse that kind of stigma off of somebody. Now, if it's true, then let the facts fly. But if it's a lie, so now you got to wear the jacket for the rest of your life that you got piss in your mouth and you don't get any money and you really never got pissed on. Oh, retract. Busby is a fucking joke. All of his hundreds of victims is a joke. His lawsuit against Jay-Z, saying Jay-Z and Diddy ran a hot one on a 13-year-old after an award party, even though they both went to different awards after parties. It's a joke. We got to do something about this. We can't have federal. You know, the thing is, they did this to my president. Bullshit charges, fake charges that should have never been levied against him. He had to fight. Trump flew from rallies to court in Georgia, in Fulton County, from rallies to New York City, Manhattan, from rallies to bro, it's a fight. But why is our FBI out of control? I don't see them doing anything to protect the country. I see them going after Americans. But they're not going after Americans for anything that, because the states can go after their own criminals. The feds are going after rich people for political reasons. Like this is not what it was supposed to do. Allegedly, maybe this was what it was set up to do initially, but they shouldn't. This is not what we're expecting them to do. We're expecting them to be saving children, but instead, when Biden was president, they were trafficking children. They were helping them get across the border. They were dumping them in states that had red voters so they can throw off the vote count and increase the congressional seats. Even though they're illegals, it's still just the population size increases your congressional seats. All because people have money. So the FBI is out of control, and something has to be done about this. And apparently, they're not all controlled by Kash Patel. All the different offices are independent, and they're working without any oversight from the main office. And that's why it's a good thing they're getting rid of the FBI building. They're moving it from DC. They have to. These agents are out of control, and they're projecting their political biases onto American citizens, and they're just doing these false cases that really there's no merit, there's no base here. There was never a base. They're trying to find a way. They're talking to male escorts. Wouldn't he be an accomplice if you're saying she was trafficked and against her will and raped? If Diddy's not the one having sex with her, why aren't you charging all these male escorts for rape? Because the only ones having sex with them is Cassie. Diddy's not even having sex with Cassie at the freak-offs. He's not touching her. She's actually rubbing semen on him. Oh, she's rubbing it on him to try to make it seem like, oh no, you're involved too. It's kind of like when somebody, when you see there's one donut left in the break room at work, and somebody licks their finger, and they say, "I call Mindsies," and you're like, "Fuck." So you're gonna lick the last bagel, you're gonna put your finger on it, touch it, and just say Mindsy. So it's kind of like that's what Cassie's doing. She's like, oh yeah, this is the best threesome ever. And Diddy probably looked at her like, bitch, what threesome? You're over there getting fucked. I'm in this other room playing on my phone. And she's like, well, look, takes another man's semen and rubs it on him. Now you're in. Now it's us. It's kind of like you go do a drive-by and somebody says, what did you do? And they're like, what do you mean, what did I do? And they throw the gun and you catch it. He's like, no, motherfucker, what did we do? That's what Cassie's doing to Diddy by rubbing the sperm on him. What did we do? Not what did I do? What did we do together? And then years later now, because she hit the wall, she's old. He found him a young girl now to spend money on, and she's bitter. Now, oh, I'm the victim. Woe is me, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, you wasn't a victim when you were still cheating on your husband with him when he wanted you. But she's 40 now. She hit the wall. She was in her late 30s back then, bro. Nobody wants that. Nobody wants to spend money on that. It doesn't even make any sense. It's crazy. Let's go over to let's see. Let's finish this up.
Based on a ruling by the judge. And so could we see more cases being dismissed? Absolutely. Could we see some of these cases going forward all the way to trial or some sort of decision? Absolutely. Only time will tell.
Aaron, there are a lot of other cases. There are a lot of other charges still for Diddy here. He's still in a Manhattan jail. What's next for him?
He goes on trial May 5th with jury selection. 300 prospective jurors are going to be summoned to the courthouse per day.
All right, yeah, this is a little outdated now, but yeah, this is there is no case. Let's go look at Twitter, right? So if you look at Twitter, Barack Obama was mentioned yesterday at the trial, further implicating him in the Pizzagate projection. Diddy's former assistant, David James, testified that Diddy was taking drugs daily along with many other A-list Hollywood celebrities, including Percocets and ecstasy, in the shape of Barack Obama's face. James also testified that there was a one-stop shop drug dealer who met with people, including former presidents, and then he named Obama as one of them. Why would your assistant know what another drug dealer is doing that he's only meeting to pick up? How would he know any of this? Why would he know this? And why would you believe him? It's no surprise that Obama has entered the chat during Diddy's trial. Here's why: the Obamas ties to Pizzagate. Suge Knight, also in prison right now, claimed that Obama attended accused sex trafficker Diddy's parties. He did. When Obama was inaugurated, when he first won his election, Diddy threw a party for him. I'm sure he's been to plenty of Diddy parties. I've been to a Diddy party at a club before. I never went to one at these houses, but man, Diddy parties used to crack. All-Star weekend, Diddy throws something. Super Bowl weekend, Diddy throws something. Now everybody wants to be afraid to say they ever been to a Diddy party. Get the fuck. Where are we? What episode of the Twilight Zone is this? Are we in Black Mirror, literally, with black fucking faces everywhere? WikiLeaks exposed Obama flew in $65K worth of pizza and hot dogs, confirming pedophile words from Chicago for a private White House party using clandestine channels on taxpayers' dime. Because what they say is that pizza means little girls, hot dogs means little boys. And I'm not saying it doesn't mean that. On the FBI has this listed that those were the terms and what they mean. But you know, I mean, shit, I'm not seeing anything in the Diddy trial that says Diddy had anything to do with kids. I'm sure with all the other wild stuff he was doing with Cassie, I'm sure he doesn't have a secret, a triple. People live a double life, but a triple and quadruple life where he has a secret dungeon that nobody ever sees him go to, where there's just kids hanging upside down by their toes, and he's just in there humping. I don't buy it, bro. Nobody's even reporting that. But the conspiracy theorists, which I used to be a part of this community when it came to this, are on here. They're trying to say he's the Epstein, but there's no proof that. Matter of fact, all the freak off videos were on Cassie's phone and on the guy who shot up Trump Tower, that crazy fuck, his phone. He recorded and Cassie recorded. Diddy wasn't even keeping records of all this. He wasn't even, so they were thinking he was like building up a database of people having sex with underage kids so he can use it against them for political leverage. Literally none of that ever happened. We, and I say we empathetically because I'm guilty of it too. We projected that and we made that up. We made that all up. We made that up on the internet. None of that was true. If it was, we would have been hearing a little bit about it. They'll be telling us, hey, just stay tuned. And next tomorrow we got something coming up. There's nothing. There's nothing, bro. And then there's a death of Obama. Now, this is what we can talk about. Obama's chef that was killed at his house. We talk about that. But that's not a part of the Diddy case either. But some man drowned in 4-foot water, a 6-foot man. That doesn't make sense. But nobody wants to talk about that. But everybody's talking about Diddy. And then look at this. Oh, he had Percocets and from a prescription. And so what is he on trial for? Is this a conspiracy? Is this a racketeering charge with sex trafficking and prostitution, transportation, or is it drugs? Is it prostitution and trafficking, or is it domestic violence? Like we got to pick one. It can't be everything and then nothing at the same time. What is it? All these other charges have nothing to do with reality. He's not being charged with this. Yeah, he was a Democrat. He hated Trump. I thought he should go to prison for just not liking Trump. But can you send people to prison for that? No, you cannot. The burden of proof is not here. Look at this. All this other stuff. Nothing to do with trafficking or racketeering. Nothing to do with it. Yeah, gay. Rap is gay. Rap is sexual degeneracy, and it is a psyop. So Whitlock is right.
That supports rappers of any kind. And I'm talking about the commercial rappers. I'm not talking about Christian or gospel, but these rappers, the Snoop Dogs, the 50 Cent, any of them. Ice Cube. I like Ice Cube, but even any of them. I'm like, what do you think you're supporting? It's crystal clear what it is you're supporting: sexual degenerates, alphabet mafia people. It's like if you, all the drugs that they're ingesting just brings down inhibitions, and all they can think about is sexually pleasuring themselves. And that's how you get into a no holes barred situation where people are entering you from any orifice that they want to because you're so drunk high and you're just chasing a sexual high. But this whole thing just early on is just like, I'm so glad I've moved away from rap music. I'm so glad that I was critical of rap music, even when I was listening to it. At least my instincts and ears were tuned properly, like, hey, this can lead to no good. But that's what I'm hoping is on the other side. If we, whether Diddy gets convicted or not, I don't think is going to change much. But if people's eyes are open to the reality of commercial rap music and who these people are, and I know 50 Cent loves to make fun of Diddy, but I'm not saying 50 Cent is like Diddy, but he's closer to Diddy than I am, and any of you are. And he may not have been, again, 50 Cent running around with Chelsea Handler, a demon and a sexual degenerate. This to me should just unmask rap music for what it is.
And let's be honest, 50 Cent will have charges against him soon too. When he was first making fun of his baby's mother for having a sexual relationship of some sort with Diddy being one of his girlfriends, like a year or two ago, Diddy called her 50 Cent called her a little LSW, a little sex worker. That stung. And you know what she said after that? She said, what do I always say women can do? They're going to either sue you for alimony, sue you for child support, or sue you for abuse. Once he made that comment about her, she came out immediately and said, you raped me too. There's a lot of people that don't like 50 Cent. Young Buck, there's people he's been in fights with. There's been all kind of people in different places. What they're going to do is they're going to combine all these people and they're going to form Voltron. The same way that they'll bind all these people to go after Diddy, they're going to combine a bunch of these people together to go after 50 Cent too. And his baby mama's going to be suing him, and she's going to try to send him to jail to get more money from him. Or he's going to have to pay her off to stop it. But you think he's not going to be in the crosshairs too? That's the thing why you can't laugh at certain people, because you don't even know you're next. You're next. You don't have to be guilty. You don't even have to have ever done anything. But you're next, and you're going to have to fight. Because remember, nowadays you're guilty until proven innocent. So the burden of proof that you're innocent is going to be on you and your law team, and hopefully you can afford it. Hopefully you can afford it.
Gay, sexually degenerate psyop. Mass rap music for what it is. A gay, sexually degenerate psyop.
It's not just rap music anymore. It's just black culture, and it seeped into black people. The black community and the gay communities have merged together. We call it the Black Army, where basically you have the gay community kind of controls the black community. They kind of use them as like watchdogs and guard dogs. If you get into it with a gay person, they're going to say, how dare you talk to me with all that racist undertone? It could be two white people arguing, a gay white person and a straight white person. And the gay white person will call the straight white person a racist, because that's a dog whistle to send their guard dogs, their attack dogs, which is the black community, after whoever their political enemies are, whoever they're beefing with, whatever. So that's not nothing new. I hate that they keep bringing up Bieber, bro, saying that Diddy rearranged his guts. There's literally no proof of that at all. At all. You know, just making up all these lies and rumors. This guy that was shooting in the Trump, I still don't understand how him being paid by Diddy to smash Cassie led to him shooting up the Trump Tower. Nobody else went and shot up a Trump Tower. Why did you?
I want the United States to fall.
I don't know if you guys remember this video, but you know, I don't understand why. But here he is, still claiming to be a victim of his damn self too. Ridiculous. But like I said, if these civil charges are falling apart, the criminal charges are there's nothing there, because you can win a civil even when you lose criminal. But can you lose civil and win criminal? That doesn't happen, because the burden of proof is less for civil than it is for criminal. So it's easier to get to get a lawsuit, to get a victory in a civil case than it is to get in the criminal. So if you lost a civil, you're fucked. Now they just want to talk about him having sex and him doing drugs and him beating up on Cassie and slapping up employees. All which went underreported. Nobody ever charged him, accused him. No proof. There's no smoking gun with Diddy. There's no smoking gun. This case should have never came this far. But if you agree with me, leave a comment. If you don't agree with me, leave a comment. I really like you guys a lot. I do appreciate those who have tuned in. And those who I've been noticing people have been sharing my videos. I do appreciate it. I do come on here and talk every day, especially now that I know how to get the videos to play in the background. So I really do appreciate you guys being here. Come back on in about another hour. We have another episode. I'm going to go ahead and upload these videos. We're going to stop the live, and I have a couple other topics we're going to go over. So like and subscribe, share the video. If you like what I'm doing, please follow me on YouTube and follow me on X. You just click that little button. I'd appreciate it. And then you'll be here for my next videos, and you guys get updates. We're doing some meet and greets next month. So I'll be meeting some of you guys in person who have been following me, and we can talk about whatever. And hopefully I can get you guys to come on the show and we can talk about it. I can invite you on as an audio guest, and we can just shoot the shit. It's okay. So I'm Rico. This is the Single Boyfriend Right Wing Rico podcast, and I will be back shortly. Thank you.
I've been needing to find a new apartment, which has not been easy with credit as bad as mine. Luckily, I found cosigning.com. They connected me with a cosigner who helped me get my dream apartment for me and my dog. I just paid a small fee and was able to move in fast. Get the cosigner you need for the apartment you want. Check out cosigning.com today.